So listen up. Here's a story about two guys who did a podcast. And he's Casey, I'm Isaac. Okay. And listen to the podcast now.
Yeah. Did you just make that up on the spot?
Well, first I looked at the copyrighted song Blue by Eiffel Tower.
Okay.
And then I rewrote some of the lyrics to fit our podcast specifically. Something called a parody, popularized by Weird Al. And legally, we can't get sued now.
Oh. Interesting. Is that how Weird Al avoids all his shit?
I think so.
Parodied?
Have you heard of Dumb Starbucks, for instance?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so... on The Greatest Show of All Time, Nathan For You, comedian Nathan Fielder opened a store that had a logo that was identical to Starbucks, had the exact same menu as Starbucks, and how he got away with it was he put the word dumb in front of everything. So if you look at the logo, it is the same as the Starbucks logo, except there's just a little dumb right there. And it worked. I think they had to like classify it as an art exhibit. And that's how they got away with it. Eventually, though, I do think it was shut down because a health inspector came and was like, you can't be an art exhibit and sell like food and drinks. Like that's not how it works. But if we ever want to rip off Joe Rogan and maybe be like the dumb Joe Rogan experience, like that could work. Maybe
that could work. Somebody could rip us off and be called Dumb Mind Over Movies.
That'd be good. Isn't that what it already is? Yeehaw! Casey, it's Halloween at the time of recording, which I mean it won't be by the time people are hearing, but I think it'd be fun to say what we were for Halloween this year. Would you like to start us off?
Yeah, so we had a Halloween party last night, and I was a raider from Fallout 3, one of my favorite games of all time.
I don't think anyone who's ever listened to the podcast would think that you like Fallout.
I know.
I've
never brought it up ever. Yeah,
we definitely don't have like a 20-minute like archive of us digging on Fallout New Vegas.
Definitely don't. And it's not in episode 5 either. But what were you?
I was Christian from Midsummer, and more specifically, I was him in the bear suit.
Yes.
So I did cheat a little. I wasn't on fire, and I got up and moved a little.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, I can't sit the whole party, guys. I did sit for 5 hours. So when everyone was gone, I was like, okay, I'm ready. And no one wanted to party.
It was a good costume though.
Yeah, same to you. Same to you. God, you know, let's just have the circle jerk go a little bit longer.
Well, our costumes were so fucking cool.
I will say, I took inspiration from you for our party because in the hit film Crimes of Good Intentions, my character does play with speakers quite a bit and fucks with people. And there's a scene early in that movie where Luke's brushing his teeth or whatever, and then like audio plays and he gets spooked. Oh no! But so Jacob and I recorded a little loop of us being goblins, essentially. Being like, wash your hands, you should flush twice, and like laughing for 6 hours. So thank you for writing the hit film Crimes of Good Intentions and giving me the tech guy role. It's really transferred into my real life. Also, the amount of times that I've met someone who's been like, oh, I watched your short film, and I've gone, I'm a tech guy.
I know tech.
I know tech. I love that line. You know, a heist movie needs that kind of line.
Yeah.
It's not really a heist movie.
Exactly.
I saw a tweet recently that was like, hacker, we gotta like uninstall Windows 95 and put like Windows 8 on this. Guy who hired the hacker for the express purpose of knowing technology. In English, nerd.
I love that. Thankfully I didn't add any lines like that into the film. That would have been a little bit too cliched. But hey, let us know what's your favorite line from Crimes of Good Intentions. Drop it in the comments below or on Twitter. Or actually, here's what I'll do. I'll make a poll on Twitter, and it'll be just lines that Robbie had, and they can vote on the best line.
And also, I mean, just maybe throw out who your favorite character from Crimes of Good Intentions is. Maybe the one who's like the most central to the plot.
Really.
Like, would the movie have happened without Robbie there? I don't think that's possible. You know, I think he just has too many deep, close relationships with the main cast, and he's too integral.
His arc was the one that I worked the most on, you know, writing it.
I can't wait to see what he does in the sequel. Have we mentioned the ongoing joke behind the scenes about my character, though?
No, I don't think we've ever talked about it.
Okay, so when we were shooting Crimes of Good Intentions, I don't know how this started, but we... my fellow cast members, God love all of them, decided that it would be really funny if every scene turned into the Robbie death scene. Like, there's a scene where, I think it was Augustine started this, where Augustine comes in with the gun, and he's like, "Hey, everyone," and then he points the gun at me and pulls the trigger.
There was, and then I fucking, in my cameo scene when I was coming in, we were doing several takes, and one take I just walked in and I had the gun hidden on me because I took it outside. Fucking walked in and I just pointed the gun straight at Isaac. I was like, "Fuck you, die, Robbie."
I forgot about that. I hope these like come out in a blooper reel. Like, I hope Luke has the footage somewhere.
I have all the footage on my computer, and I actually started editing a blooper reel. So
nice.
And now that everybody really enjoyed the movie, it gives me more faith to actually go ahead and edit like a behind the scenes reel sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that's coming soon. But yeah, that was a really funny. And then it's even bleeding into like, when I had ideas for the sequel, they're like, "We're going to kill Robbie, right?" And I was like, "Yes, Robbie will die in the sequel."
That's good. I can't wait for him to be dead or alive, surprisingly. I don't know. Well, I guess you'll find out, viewer, when it comes out. If it comes out. When it comes out, maybe. Mm-hmm.
Perhaps.
I'm not making any promises. We promised March 26th.
That's true. And that was a fucking lie.
Oh shit, I had something to say and then it completely left my head. Anyway, speaking of films that you've made, did you partake of other movies that other people made?
I actually made another one. It's called Dune. It's out in theaters right now.
It's out in theaters? Oh, fuck, you made that.
Yeah, I did.
That was very impressive for like a student film, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. No, actually, so like the only thing I've watched is Dune. So,
really?
Yeah,
okay.
If we want to just hop in, well,
I have watched other films.
You did?
Okay. Yes. So I'll tell you about them, huh?
Okay.
We'll get to Dune when we get to it.
We'll get the
we'll be
fucking
doing
Dune.
that this episode.
We'll be doing the Dune talk.
We'll be doing that this episode. Okay. First off.
Okay.
I don't have my letterbox pulled up, so you better stall for time.
Okay.
You better stall like it depends. And I'm not stalling.
Speaking of Halloween,
I'm not the one who stalled.
I do have. I got some I'm in the Halloween spirit, I guess. So, you know, I don't know if you have any. Are you going to talk about scary movies that you've watched, like Halloween themed?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, and I'll mention this other piece of media I've been consuming.
Okay, I'll save the piece of media that you would respect the most for last.
Okay.
I watched. I actually, the only other movies I watched this week were this morning. I watched Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. I got the scoop. You can skip 2 because Wes Craven has nothing to do with it.
Okay.
And so they approached him in the 80s and they were like, "Can you please work your Wes Craven magic and give us another Nightmare on Elm Street movie?" And he was like, "Yes, I'll do that for you." And you can tell because it's good. It's like actually pretty good. It's the concept of it is like it takes place in a psych ward and these kids can like go into each other's dreams. And so they use that to like kind of fight Freddy Krueger. And like what I honestly really enjoyed about it is that it continued the story of the first movie. But in like kind of a tasteful way. Like it brought back the main character in a way that made sense from that movie. It brought back other characters, and then the story like took the next logical step. Like, what can you do with dreams? Like, and lucid dreaming is a concept that's been around forever, and I've always thought it would be really cool to see. you know, and obviously we have movies like Inception these days where that's very common, but like
Yeah.
this is 1987 horror movie Inception. It's pretty fucking cool. I'm not gonna lie. Like
Dope.
the practical effects especially are really impressive in these older horror movies because like when something really grotesque pops out, you're like, oh fuck, someone made that, right? Yeah. Like I don't know. There's like an early part in Nightmare on Elm Street 3 where Freddy's like a black worm like creature, but it's got Freddy Krueger's face on it, and it starts eating her. Yeah, it looks dope. It looks awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, I need to watch it. I mean, they're all on HBO Max, so that's hype.
So I've heard you watch 1, 3, and New Nightmare, and honestly, I'll probably watch New Nightmare if it stands up to this as like pretty good. Also, Lawrence Fishburne is like in it. Like Morpheus is just like in there. He's like
red-pilled.
Yeah, he's awesome. And I think also of note, Patricia Arquette. It was like her first big role. Was in 3. So Nightmare on Elm Street has like a reputation of making stars, I guess, because Johnny Depp was the first one.
Yeah. He was good in the first one.
But yeah,
he had the coolest death scene in the movie, I think.
Yes, the most fake blood I've ever seen in a movie, anyway. Or I think probably at that time, you know, I don't. They poured buckets for a Johnny Depp scene. That was crazy.
So much fake blood.
I kind of want to go and see if there's any behind the scenes footage of these movies because I would love to know like how they did a lot of these effects and also how much fake blood was on set.
For sure.
I'm very surprised to say it, but yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, pretty great. I mean, pretty good. And then also, literally like an hour or 30 minutes before you came, I watched the first Halloween again. And it's a banger. I will say very tame compared to like slasher movies today.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I think that holds it back is like, you need to have been someone who, like, in the 80s or as a child, watched this movie first before seeing any other, like, kind of slasher horror movie because it's got a low kill count. There's not a lot of blood. And to be honest, like, it's not that crazy. Like, I don't know. Like,
I think the craziest thing about it is the one kill where the knife is through him in the closet. I think that one's really cool. But yeah, no, I think the newer Halloween, the one that came out in 2008, David Gordon Green's Halloween, it kind of is probably in essence what the first one was trying to be with just the kills and just how gruesome and evil Michael Myers is.
Yeah,
they really captured that. But I still dig the first Halloween movie for sure.
It's good. I mean, definitely the score and John Carpenter's directing is like amazing. And Donald Pleasance, like, what I mainly know him from is like the early James Bond movies, but he fucking always kills it as Dr. Loomis, which I've noticed in the first Halloween movie he doesn't do all that much. He just kind of hides in bushes and like yells at kids. He's like, get away from there.
Yeah, I was so confused by that plot line.
Me too. Yeah, he doesn't really do much.
No, I was like, what the fuck?
But he's a beloved character anyway for some reason. I don't know. Horror franchises are kind of silly that way. It's just like after the first movie, you just got to keep these characters coming back, no matter what the reason or the rhyme.
You see, that was the new Scream movie.
Yep, you got Courtney Cox and Neve.
I mean, listen, that original cast, phenomenal. But I mean, they just keep bringing them back, right? Like they were in the all 4 of the Scream movies.
Yeah,
right. Like, holy shit! Like. I would have killed myself by this time, you know? That's a lot of running from a serial killer, bro.
I didn't realize, though, that all of the Scream movies Wes Craven came back and did. Like, he directed all of them, and it's only now that he's not involved because, well, he's dead. But, but like, or I guess there was an MTV show that everyone kind of forgot about. Scream the series that happened too. I don't think he was directly involved with.
I definitely forgot about that series.
There's too many goddamn like horror property spinoffs. I mean, Halloween alone, we're talking about like has like 5 timelines now. Like it's the fucking Terminator franchise. I hear Halloween Kills also sucks. By the way, I have not been hearing.
Heard. I tried to torrent it, but I grabbed a bad torrent, and then I got really what's the word Anyway, it turned me off from torrenting at this point in time because it was taking too fucking long, and I was like, I just want to watch this fucking movie, but I don't want to go see it in the theater because I don't want to.
Just stream it on Peacock.
It's on Peacock?
It's literally streaming on Peacock. Isn't that kind of bizarre?
That is bizarre. Okay, well then I'll just do that.
Is it free? I don't know.
Peacock?
You didn't even know it was on Peacock.
I didn't know. Peacocktober.
It might be on Cocktober.
Cocktober.
I wonder if it's free. But those were the Halloween movies. Oh wait, no, I watched The Lighthouse. I forgot to mention this last week.
Yes.
I rewatched The Lighthouse.
Okay, all right. Let's hear it.
I think a lot more highly of it.
You think? Okay.
Yeah, it's still not like the perfect Nirvana like film bro heaven movie that I think that I wanted it to be. Like
right.
I still stand that like Parasite and Uncut Gems are probably my favorite movies from 2019, but it's really good. Like, oh my god, there is a lot of thought being put into it, and I think my favorite aspect of it is that your interpretation of it can change from viewing to viewing because I don't even remember what I was thinking the first time I watched it, but my interpretation this time around was way different, and I was like, whoa, that's cool if it's this, you know?
Yeah, mine definitely did too. The first time I watched it, I looked at it more as like a cabin fever drama, which in essence is kind of what it is, but I was mainly like, okay, this is like a new take on the cabin fever with some allegorical stuff to Greek mythology, and I just hadn't quite put my finger on it. And then the second viewing, I was like, okay, this is definitely about probably toxic masculinity, or maybe just masculinity as a whole. And I also got the feeling that it was also something sexual in there, maybe about sexual repression, something like that. And then by the third time I watched it, I'm like, bro, this is just about kissing your homies goodnight.
What can we talk little spoiler section for Lighthouse? Yeah, it's been out for a while, so I mean, skip to this time code if you haven't seen The Lighthouse. This won't be our big spoiler discussion. Dune will happen later, I promise.
Yeah.
But spoilers for The Lighthouse. I definitely think it is a story of one person. I don't think that Willem Dafoe is real.
Okay.
I think that Thomas or Ephraim, whatever you want to call him, he is the only real individual there. I don't know entirely if Willem Dafoe is someone he's created or maybe a former assistant at the Lighthouse place. I do think though, like the fact that they share the name Thomas is what instantly kind of made me think that, and then also the way that they interact and the way that they play with reality. It's like you'll see Willem Dafoe go out and like fuck up the dinghy or whatever, and then he's like, "No, you did that."
Definitely gaslighting the fuck out of Robert Pattinson.
I think what the sexual tension and all the like loathing and then moments of love is to me is someone who hates himself. Like you see at the start of the movie, he's trying to abstain from alcohol, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I don't do that anymore." And then like as the movie goes on, when they get drunk, that's when he starts being like, "I hate you," and I think he's talking to himself for sure. And I think that you are seeing someone who's like struggling with that. And I mean, I don't know. By the end, when they're like drinking fucking like kerosene, like
that was crazy.
You wouldn't blame him if he was going crazy, but. I don't know. And watching it from that angle where it's like, oh, this is kind of a Fight Club movie, but without the twist explicitly being explained to you, that made it very interesting to me, and it made all of the weirder aspects of the movie kind of make more sense. It's like you definitely cannot take The Lighthouse too literally.
Yeah. I think along those lines, I think Willem Dafoe's character is, I think he's real. I don't think he's human.
Oh.
I think, okay, so obviously, as far as the story goes, like, I don't think he's, I think he's some sort of, I mean, because obviously you see him in the scene when he's choking him, he turns into, like, Neptune, basically. But I think... honestly, what it's about for me now, like in all seriousness, is probably like abuse, like addiction, to like substance abuse, substance addiction, and how that like just addiction in general and how it manifests. Because he talks about a story also about why he was a wiki or was that what they call him, wikis?
I think so.
Okay. Because he accidentally killed a guy.
Yeah, he killed the real Ephraim Winslow.
Yeah, so I was like, and he just took his name. So that just makes me think of like, trauma plus substance abuse equals like this thing that is happening. I think he's there to be like, it's like a dungeon, almost like he's there to be like tortured, like psychologically. Yeah. And everything that's happening is not really actually happening, but it's more of just like manifestations of, his, I guess his trauma, I guess. I don't know.
Of his personal torment. I definitely feel that way too. Like, I think that this movie is happening on a subconscious level, but it also might just be hell. Because, like, I think that the ending implies that it's very cyclical. Like, this has happened before, and this loop will kind of continue to happen because, Prometheus, the myth that a lot of this is based on, I mean, he's forever pecked on by the birds that eat his liver. And something that I read that was interesting is, like, maybe at the start of the movie, he's had his liver pecked out freshly and it's regrowing. And then as it regrows, he returns to his old habits because he has something to digest the alcohol with again. And then it happens again. He ruins himself once more. I definitely agree with you that at the core of this movie, there's substance abuse issues. There's issues of security in general, like the need to be loved or liked or like to have a father figure or, what is a father figure if not someone who gives you love, and how do people show love? It's through dancing and hugging. Like, they get so fucking homoerotic. And apparently Robert Pattinson was like, we did a lot of takes where Willem Dafoe and I were just like trying to take each other's like pants down. Like, that's how aggressive the chemistry in this script would be. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I don't know. I definitely love how ambiguous it is, though. It never slaps you in the face with the right answer, and I love it. That's neat.
I will never forget the first time I watched it in the theater. The last scene of like them like eating out his organs. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to watch this about 6 more times. Like it's a very visually. I guess I want to say stunning. It is visually stunning, but it's also visually like aggressive, right? Like, it's like, look at this fucking image. What do you think about this? And you're like, fuck, I don't know.
Well, yeah, and this is okay. So, I mean, obviously, Zack Snyder's Justice League really used this aspect ratio, like, brilliantly, and that added, like,
Zack Snyder did it first.
Zack Snyder did it first, don't you know? Well, he would have, because he made Justice League back in 2016.
That's true.
And he wanted it to be in that aspect ratio back then. And you'll notice The Lighthouse came out in 2019. So Robert Eggers probably just walked onto the set of Justice League and was like, Zack Snyder, you brilliant man, I'm going to steal all of your ideas. But with the aspect ratio, I do appreciate that it adds to that sense of claustrophobia. And, you're really forced to look at what the fuck is happening on the screen because of it. And you have to confront some of those uglier visuals, like the head in the basket, or the mermaid Ussie. The mermaid Ussie.
That what a crazy shot too. Like what a fucking movie, bro. Yeah, I will say this is probably the movie that I think that the aspect ratio is completely justified. Like, yes, this is the only way to experience this movie is in the the 1:4, I think aspect is what it is. 1:4.
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, 1:4, 1:1. Either way.
You're the film nerd, not me, bro.
Sorry, there's so many aspect ratios, I forget.
I know, it's okay.
I know that I put Crypsis and Crimes in 2:40:1. That's the cinematic.
That's what I considered normal. I go, oh look, we're getting a normal movie.
Oh, but yeah. Anyway, Lighthouse is great. If y'all haven't seen it, please do. If you haven't seen it and you just listen to the spoiler review, Why?
I'm very ashamed of you. Although we did jump around.
Much.
Yeah.
So no, definitely watch The Lighthouse for sure. And if you've already seen it, watch it again, and then comment what you think The Lighthouse is about.
Yeah, tell us. Let us know. Subscribe, like, smash that motherfucking like
Consume.
button. Also, Sam, I would like to say you have to change the meme from 3 weeks ago now. Jimmy Stewart can't kill me for that.
yeah.
I gave it 4.5 stars. I didn't give it 1 star. I want to defend my honor here. I didn't rate it the first time I watched it. I knew I liked it. I didn't fully get it, but I was like, this was weird.
yeah.
I think that it's great, though. I do. I just don't think that it's a movie that I will be rewatching as much as other people, and it's not one of my favorites. It's
understandable. Understandable.
So you had a Halloween thing to mention?
Oh,
now that I've spoke of these.
So my media I'm consuming that's Halloween themed. As y'all may know, I'm a bit of a metalhead, and there's this really great metalcore band that I've been following for years now that I'm probably gonna get tatted on my body. They're called Ice Nine Kills.
Ooh.
And they are, at least the lead singer Spencer Charnas is a huge horror buff. He loves horror movies. He loves like fiction. Like he reads so many books. He watches so many horror movies and stuff. And they, in their early days, a bunch of their like album artwork and their lyrics, just like their aesthetic was like really dark, moody, kind of slasher vibes, metal music, and it was super fucking heavy. And they're still a heavier band, but they've in 2015 they released an album called Every Trick in the Book. And each song was based off of important / their favorite pieces of literature, like their favorite books. So you had George Orwell's Animal Farm. They did a song on. They did The Exorcist. They did Carrie, and they did Romeo and Juliet, and they did a couple others. And it was a fantastic album, and I listened to it religiously. But then they took it a step farther, and they're like, we're going to do horror movies. And so they came out with an album called The Silver Scream. And they did wonderful songs about Freddy, Jason, the Scream movies. They did The Crow. They have a song about The Crow that's really interesting.
Yeah.
They have, I think they did An American Werewolf in London, I think is one they did. And then just like Jaws and Saw, like awesome album. And then Spencer Charnas, the lead singer, is like, I don't know why I haven't been doing this all my life. Like, this is my favorite thing to do. So this month, they released the sequel to The Silver Scream called Welcome to Horrorwood. And it is really, really good.
Okay.
They've got songs on there about Cabin Fever, Hostel. They've got Child's Play, American Psycho, original Alfred Hitchcock Psycho.
Ooh.
So they're doing just like a bunch of songs. And if you're into horror movies and if you can at least listen to some metal, I would highly recommend giving this album a listen. I've been listening to it nonstop. My favorites right now are the ones they have about Evil Dead called Ex Morti, I think, is really, really fucking fun. They got one called Farewell to Flesh that's about Candyman. And then the opener of the album is actually kind of poking fun at Hollywood themselves. It's called Welcome to Horrorwood. But it's really fucking like smart and like interesting. Like they have like a bunch of like puns in their songs and stuff like that, because they're kind of being campy with the horror music. But this song, Welcome to Horrorwood, poking fun at the film industry, is just really well made, and it's easy to just sing along to. I mean, he's an amazing songwriter, and they're an amazing band. And they've right now their album and Coldplay new album are the 2 top albums on the Billboard rock charts right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
So if y'all are like interested or anything, go give it a listen. It's called Welcome to Horrorwood: The Silver Scream 2 by Ice Nine Kills, and it's got me in the Halloween mood. I've been listening to it all day, and the past like 2 weeks I've been listening to it. So that's a little something for you.
Yeah, and I mean, I know it's November 2nd when you're listening to this, probably. But, save it for next year for sure.
Exactly.
Make use of this shit. You know, I'm always looking for good like Halloween music, especially too, because like we have all the classics, but it's like we've heard Thriller and Monster Mash so many times. Like it's nice to have like a contemporary, good piece of Halloween music.
For sure.
So I think before we get into the topic, I would like to say I'm remiss that I didn't get to see Last Night in Soho yet. I just want to tell people, like, I feel like a fucking criminal because I'm like, Edgar Wright is like in my top 3 directors, and I don't know, I haven't had the time this weekend to go see it. It's been hard, so I'll try and fix that next week. Is there anything that you're sad you didn't get around to?
I'm still, so Last Night in Soho's one. I mean, I can forgive myself on it just came out, but I'm still looking forward to seeing that. And then The Last Duel, I still need to watch. And there was another one that. Oh wait, the French Dispatch coming out?
The French Dispatch is out.
Oh my god! I need to go see
it's
that.
Everywhere now. Yeah, we don't even have an excuse.
Yeah, we gotta go see these movies.
That's been our self-punishment section of Mind Over Movies. We'll be back right after this quick break.
I am a vampire. I am just walking about my house. I have this book. It is called the Book of the Garlic.
Hello. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to introduce myself last week. I'm Edward Cullen. You're Bella?
No, my name is Vladimir. I have this book here. I'm trying to leave.
Would you mind if I look?
I guess, yes. You may see the book. Here it is.
So you're enjoying the rain?
It is not raining, sir. It only looks like it's going to rain.
And we're back from that hellscape of maybe some lounge music. Maybe it was old time jazz. Who knows?
It might have been. It's something.
It's something. Casey has decided that in the future, and I am increasing his homework load every second I talk. Were those vampires I heard? A gunshot?
Yeah. There was a whole skit, actually.
Maybe even a Christopher Walken impersonator.
Okay.
And they were all home for dinner, too.
Wow. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, the fact that it was 10 minutes sure did.
This is a special, extra long episode of Mind Over Movies.
Yep. Man, I can't wait to see what he does with the ending if he did all that just in the middle.
I know.
Speaking of having all the plot lines figured out, did you figure out what screen that you watched?
I did. I watched it on my big old 75-inch TV with the volume up to 50. And that's what I did.
My God, was it enough?
It was. I mean, yeah, I think it was. I love watching movies on my TV. That's why I saved up and got a big ass TV because that's what I wanted to have the experience. And I'm working on getting some surround sound as well.
There you go.
Complete it, but yeah, no, I felt very okay with my Dune experience in my home. So
there we go. So the man's unbiased going into this review.
Yeah, I didn't watch it on my Nintendo DS like I had originally planned.
Yeah, I didn't watch it minimized in the corner of my phone as I scrolled through Twitter.
Yeah.
I didn't do that this time. I bothered to go to a theater. But what'd you think? Spoiler free, spoiler, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I guess so. Spoiler free thoughts, real quick. It's big. This is a big movie, and I wouldn't minded if it was 6 hours long.
Yeah,
I would have watched another 3 hours of that shit because it was very entertaining. And yeah, I liked it. I just my main problem stems from the fact that it's a part one, which I understand. Hollywood does this all the time. It just felt like a really weird way to end the first movie. I don't know if I liked where they ended it, to be honest.
I felt the same way about the ending anyway. I think that's what holds it back a lot for me is like, oh shit, we gotta wrap this up because we would have to get into the back half of the novel if we do any more. But it felt okay, so spoiler free, it felt like they could have ended the movie 30 minutes before they ended the movie. They missed that really good ending point for a part one and went a little too far into what part two might be and then also did that Zack Snyder's Justice League thing of teasing what part 2 would look like just in case it didn't happen, and then it cut off. And I was like, this just now feels incomplete. It feels like, this is going to be especially awkward if part 2 doesn't come out.
Right.
I don't know. And I also felt like, when I watched Blade Runner 2049, like, I could have watched a 4-hour cut of this movie. I felt the same way about this movie, but not in the same way. It was like I needed more, as in I needed resolution to these plot lines. And knowing that I'm going to get it is what keeps my score optimistically high for the first movie. But I totally agree with you that on its own, if part 2 were to never come out, it would be kind of silly to revisit.
Yeah.
And maybe we can just jump right in and talk about the epic sci-fi movie that is Dune, Part 1. So, again, if you haven't seen Dune, maybe don't waste your time with the rest of the episode. I feel like it's going to take up the rest of it. So, I don't know. Skip to the end if you want to hear us do a bit in Casey's, magnum opus of editing. But other than that, we are going to get into spoilers.
Yeah, let's do it. Everybody fucking died in this movie, and that threw me the fuck off.
Oh, I loved it. This was the most surprised that I'd been at this kind of like carnage since Game of Thrones, and I guess that's also what I really like about Dune is that it was way more like metal than I thought it was gonna be. I was like, oh shit, this is like adult. Like when Denis Villeneuve said this is going to be adult Star Wars, like. I didn't take it as seriously as I should have, and now I'm like, oh fuck, it totally is. Like,
I like with every. Oh, sorry, I'm yawning.
He's yawning. He's so bored of Dune already.
Fuck this now. No, okay. What? This is something that a lot of sci-fi these days. What really pisses me off about it, and I understand from the studio side, and it's got to make enough money. They keep making these shits PG-13, and it is driving me insane because while Dune was pretty metal, I think it would have even been more metal and more awesome if it was rated R. I don't know how, I don't know why, but I think actually I do know how, and I do know why, but I don't like it bugs me. Like all sci-fi these days has to be like almost like not like family friendly, but like almost, to where they can market it to like a wider audience. And I get that, but at the same time, Dune feels like very much a rated R piece of art. Like it just feels to me like it would maybe be uplifted, I guess, by the freedom to do show however much gore, say whatever the fuck they want, stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think. Part of that decision was probably, Blade Runner 2049 didn't make a lot of money, and it was rated R.
Yeah.
So, like, they were like, let's tune that down a little bit. And then I think also that because we live in a post New Hope world, when we get high science fiction like this that airs on the side of fantasy, the instinct is to sterilize it a little bit. And I'm about 100 pages deep into the Dune novel, and none of the violence has happened, so I can't attest to whether it's as sterile in the book. But it does feel like at least that without as very much blood, at least they have concepts that explain that. Like the shields are a pretty neat idea. I also like how the violence is introduced like early on. He's in his training session with Josh Brolin, and like you get a vibe for how the shields work because it turns red whenever it's been breached and the user is injured, and you get that really quickly. And also that scene's just awesome. You would have joined me in death, my lord. He's like, oh
yeah, that is a really cool scene. I'm specifically thinking of. I read this review that I really agreed with about. Somebody said that it's very clear Denis Villeneuve is not. He's never done like up close and personal action. Yeah. Really, and it kind of shows in Dune because the Duncan Idaho fight, while it was still pretty damn good, you could tell it's a little shaky because just the camera angles he chose to use are just really weird. It's clear that he didn't quite know how to frame the fight sequences and stuff like that, but all the like like the ships blowing up and stuff. That is really awesome.
The sandworms were fucking
The sandworm
as
was
hell.
dope. They have some scaling issues with those sandworms, though, I have to say. I know they said in the first sandworm encounter, they're like, that's a big one. And I'm like, okay. But, like, also, the scale of that sandworm was nowhere near the scale of the other two we saw, especially when it, like, it rose up out of the ground and was, like, looking at Paul.
Yeah.
And he was just kind of, I was like, I think they're a little bit bigger there. Like, I was like, the one we just saw was, like, way bigger than that. So, like, in terms of scale, I don't know if they...
But they did address it. They said, like,
that's a big one,
you know?
But but that one was fucking huge, and then the other ones are
so
just
it's a
like
mature
smaller. I don't know. I just like what the hell? I don't
know. I would agree with you in most cases, but they definitely, I don't know. Like, I feel like to me that's a clear shut case. Like, that's an adult sandworm, and the other ones are like babies, or maybe they don't grow as much. I don't know. There's such a thing as like a runt in the litter.
Yeah,
like,
I guess.
And I feel like, I don't know. That's just easily explained.
I just want to see more sandworms.
Yeah, I think that you can't just have a big one every time a sandworm shows up. Although that would be awesome.
Yeah.
It was definitely the first time that you see a sandworm, and it's the big one that I was thinking of when I said the sandworms are awesome, because that sequence is the one that had my jaw, like, you know, fall down a little bit, and it stayed there for a while. Yeah, when the sandworm, like, takes a peek at them, that's definitely one there where I was like, oh, that looks less impressive. But it's like, I guess it's just not as magnificent as a sandworm, you know?
Yeah.
And maybe that's why it's also not as big of a threat to Jessica and Paul in that moment.
When they said that's a big one, they should have said that's probably the biggest fucking one we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because the other two were nowhere near that scale. And when I was like, holy shit, that's literally huge. Like, but yeah, I get why they say this is like a book that's like unfilmable. Because, I mean, they did, right? This one's pretty damn good for a book that people say is unfilmable. I mean, he did pretty good. But I think that also, in terms of, like, scale, yeah, that'd be hard to capture. Luckily, we got that. But also, I think just, like, in terms of content, I can see, like, I think they narrowly avoided this film being really boring.
Yeah.
Because there is
just a slow burn.
It is a slow burn. And I mean, listen, I watch slow burn movies all the time. I like slow burn movies, but you know, for a like a blockbuster sci-fi action, this was like teetering on the edge of like, okay, do we really need this sequel? Do we really need this to be this long? But in the end, I think for the most part, it worked. Especially for the world building. The world building was super good in Dune.
I really think that this is quite the accomplishment of a movie, because like, before this movie came out, I tried to read Dune, and it was too dense for me. Like, the first passage was this quote from the Princess Irulan or something, and it's like some bullshit about Muad'Dib or whatever, and it's like, oh, don't be fooled that he was born on the planet Caladan, for it is Arrakis, the planet Dune, that he spent most of his life. And I'm like, look, we just started the goddamn book. Can we, like, at least hold off on, like, the high fantasy things? Yeah. I think that this movie introduced those concepts even a bit better than the novel introduces them. Because I have started reading it again, and it's making sense now. And I'm like, oh, I fuck with this. But something, that the movie is definitely limited by is you can't see character thoughts. And that is something that comes up a lot in the novel. Like, in the movie, you kind of are confused if they're pretty sure that this is a trap and that they're going to die horrible deaths on Arrakis because the Harkonnens are some tricky bastards who can't be trusted. Like, why are they going? And that's addressed a lot more in the novel because, like, pretty much from the start, you know, the Bene Gesserit lady comes and tells Paul, like, your father's gonna lose his planet, and he's like, well, he's getting another one, and she's like, he's gonna lose that one too. You know, you all are pretty much gonna die on Arrakis, and it's gonna be a traitor. And you also learn very early on that the Doctor is the traitor in the novel. You hear his thoughts too. Like, you have to be with him as he's thinking about his betrayal and the implications they'll have. But the thing with the movie is that it actually takes fucking time to explain how these things work because you get to see it visually happen. Like the shield, it makes sense now because you see it in action. The Bene Gesserit and their powers and their little pain box, it works because you see how it happens and you don't have a wall of exposition that's all like, well, anyway, we've passed this pain box around for a really long time, and it was like my grandfather's pain box, and now you're gonna stick your hand in it, and like in the book, the needle she's holding has a name, the box has a name, like everything has a name, and the movie was just really good about being like, okay, he stick hand in box, it hurt. If he hit needle, he die. You know, like
it's just really simple, like. The way it's explained,
it's simple, but it's like it has that sincerity of like early Star Wars. Like it's treating all of these concepts seriously enough that if you do think it's silly at first, or I don't know, it worked for me anyway. I came around to it later. You know, like the voice. That's something that's kind of vague in the novel that I didn't really get. And now in movie form, I'm like, oh, and they do a great job. They have that scene where she's like, use the voice, and he's like, give me the tea. And you're like, oh, shit, I see.
Okay, yeah.
So I love what Denis has done of making things, like, make sense. And, like, there's a lot of visual elements that help you connect dots. Like, you know, the Harkonnens have that guy with the lip, and it's got the blue painted on it. And then you'll see later, like, oh, shit, you know, the Atreides clan has their own guy with a blue lip. Like, I wonder if they're related. And then, sure enough, if you do decide to read the text, like they are, they're from the same society. They're mentats, and I don't remember if that comes up at all in the movie, but I certainly did not understand anything about that.
No, I didn't. I knew that. I was like, oh, it looks like these guys are like. How like every kingdom has like the king's hand, and the treasurer, and like there's a you know, it's sort of like a round table of important people. I'm like, these guys must be the seers or something, because their eyes roll back and they're just like information. And, which is cool though that he lets you connect those pieces like that.
And you do get their purpose. Like you see them, you know, deal with military affairs. I mean, one of my favorite sequences in the movie is when you see the Harkonnen guy go to the Emperor's like planet or whatever, where he has his battalion, and there's like the fucking guy like throat stinging, and he's like, I don't know. You get the understanding in that scene though, because they talk about, you know, battalions and numbers like that. It's like, oh, this guy is definitely in charge of the affairs. And something that I really like is the dramatic irony of the novel carries over to the movie, because at that point you know that, oh shit, this is not going to go well for the Atreides clan. But it still withholds enough that you're surprised to the extent of the destruction of the Atreides clan. And then also, I will say, the poison tooth. I could have never have foreseen like the destruction of that thing, but that was fucking awesome.
Yeah, that was a fucking amazing scene. The villain is so fucking cool. I think this is like one of the coolest villains I've ever seen, with how he just like will levitate. And I just that scene, and when they come in and they find him like up on the ceiling, is the most grotesque, weirdest, bone-chilling fucking thing I've ever seen. Like, it's awesome. And then when he's healing in the fucking black tar, and he just raises up. That is so cool. That's like really cool things about Dune that just like fucking floored me. I was like, bro, this is really awesome. There is one thing that's bugging me that you may be able to answer, and technically spoilers for the next Dune, I guess. Maybe. I don't know if they're gonna take. Okay, Dune, where it stands right now, at least, if you've only watched part one and you haven't read the novel, feels like a white savior trope of a film. But somebody pointed out, they're like, have you read the novel, like the whole novel? It's like, they said Paul is not somebody you want to root for towards the end. So I'm like, are they like flipping the white savior trope maybe? Because also Denis Villeneuve he's not American. He's from Mexico, and
I think he's Canadian.
Are you Canadian?
I wanted to maybe chime in last week, but I wasn't confident. I think he is a Canadian filmmaker, actually.
He speaks like very fluent Spanish because
I think he's Canadian.
he needs a translator though. Have you seen in his interviews and stuff?
No, I haven't, but
Oh,
I think he's French Canadian.
Oh yeah, he's French. Okay.
Like I think
French Canadian. He is, bro. Does he not speak Spanish? Am I wrong?
Maybe motherfucker's been speaking French and you thought
and I thought
Spanish?
it was Spanish. I just okay. Well, his films. A lot of his films are about Mexico as well. So
yeah.
I kind of was like, oh, okay, he's a Mexican filmmaker. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
Either way, I don't know. I just thought maybe like he would have a little bit more sense than to make a white savior film, and there's a reason he loves Dune so much. Like he says he read the novel a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's the one thing that was bugging me about it a little bit, about part 1 at least. And I'm like, anything can happen in part 2, of course, but the way it's set up feels like it.
It does seem like it might be headed that direction. I don't know. Something that's making me uncomfortable about the novel and the movie is like, he's referred to as a messiah figure to these people. And that does give me weird vibes because in both the novel and the movie, he's very clearly described as white and portrayed as white. And it's like, like their view of the desert people was probably like, the Fremen are Islam and they are, maybe... Well, here's the thing that's interesting about Dune, though, is our Middle East fuckery was nothing like what it is when it was written. And I think that's something that I thought was so cool about the movie is like today, it's so hard to not see it as some kind of like Iraq like metaphor. Like they're there to mine spice. We went to Iraq to get oil. There's all these people who live here that we're blatantly disregarding the whole time for our own purposes, and it's been traded around by several different countries, like everyone's had a piece of the Middle East and done their shit over there, and it's hard to believe that this screenplay wasn't written in direct with that in mind. And so that's what keeps me interested is like, is this a white savior story or is there more here? Because I think Paul's current goal set up by the end of the first Dune is, well, to, get back at the Harkonnens and maybe retain control over the planet again.
Liberate the Fremen.
Liberate the Fremen. I don't know. In the book, it definitely seems like from the start that they want to make peace with the Fremen and make allies with the Fremen. Like the Duke is even like, oh, I've sent Duncan Idaho out to like go, talk to the Fremen and see if they'd be interested in that. And I think that's interesting, though. I think that era of collaboration is cool to see, and I do think that aspect of the novel translates well because they can't outright say the Duke's been thinking about that and keeping it secret. So they have that scene where Paul meets Duncan, and he's like, I had a dream that you were with the Fremen, and it's like, oh, okay, and that sets up that he's a bit of a prophesizer, like his dreams come true, and it's like, oh, I get that now.
Yeah,
like all of these concepts from the novel, I think that Denis has adapted really well, and it's made it easier for me to read it. And I don't know, I trust that it's going to go in a good direction in the second half. Maybe I'll update you personally whenever I finish it, and then we can see the movie for ourselves later. I don't really remember the ending from the first Dune, so I'm not gonna go back and watch David Lynch's version. I'm not gonna look up spoilers. I kind of want to remain surprised.
For sure.
So we've talked about the fact that it's a slow burn. I think that, would you agree that maybe the best sequences of the movie start like when the Harkonnen massacre begins?
Yeah, for sure. I think the sandworm before that sequence is really good, and I think there's a couple other like pretty things to look at, but as far as like substance goes, like what in the fuck is actually happening? What is this movie about?
I like the world building. Like, you like the world building,
I like the
right?
world building. Yes, I do think I felt like we are waiting a while for something to start, and then when it finally kicks into gear and it goes so fast, you're like, okay, what is the rest of it? And then it ends, and I'm like, oh, okay. But I do agree, some of the probably the most visually pleasing and just very awesome sequences are when the Harkonnen massacre begins all the way to the end of the film.
Yeah, I mean, just like really stunning stuff. Like pretty, like shocking still. Even though you know it's coming for a good while, you're like, oh my gosh, everyone. Like there was a hope inside me that Oscar Isaac would live through his meeting with the Baron, and that's what really solidified that Stellan Skarsgård is a really good villain to me. Is like his callousness and his coldness. He's like, "Kill, you'll join your wife."
Yeah, he just fucking cuts his head off.
It's fucking intense.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I definitely agree that this is the end of like the start of Act 2 or the end of Act 2. And we're going into Act 3, and there should be more movie there, and it's not. And it was a weird choice to do it this way. Like,
yeah, because that's what I thought. I was like, oh, the movie's just getting started, and then it ended. And I was like, what the fuck?
Like, I don't know. And this hasn't been a problem for me before. Like, I feel like, Lord of the Rings, like, that's a good example of, like, well, I mean, technically there are 3 books, but the way it was originally published, it was just 1.
Yeah.
Like, you get a full story, and it's, like, little mini resolutions, and then you still get, like, Frodo will go on and hopefully destroy the ring in the next one, huh? And, like, that keeps you going, but, like, you could turn on Fellowship of the Ring and leave, like, that's a full movie.
Right.
That's done. I don't know how many times I'm going to rewatch Dune if it's not on the big screen and before Part 2's out. Like, Part 1 is just incomplete. And, like, I love it. I love it for what it is. But, it's like, well, where's the rest? That's why I'm reading the book is, like, I need the rest. I need it now.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Otherwise, it's just, the character arcs aren't there, because they haven't arced there in the middle of arcing, but they're not done.
And I think what confuses me the most about it is that we've killed pretty much, all the poster characters, at least they're all dead. A lot of them at least, and then we're like going into the third act of the film, and I'm like, and then it just ends, and I'm like, this is so weird. And like Fellowship of the Ring did it way better. I think there are other trilogies that do it, way better. But obviously, like Dune. Part 1, at least, its story is incomplete. Not that having a Part 1, a Part 2, Part 3, whatever is bad, and but like literally, this movie has no Act 3. It's Act 3. It feels like an Act 2.
Yeah.
And so it's really weird in that regard. It's like I was like, okay, we're still in Act 2. We're still in Act 2. Oh, it's over. Okay. And that's just what really threw me off about it. I was like, damn. I mean, I wouldn't have minded sitting another 2 to 3 hours, like. Honestly, like I know that'll never happen, but still, it's cool though.
An intermission, I mean, something. I don't know. Yeah. Like it probably wouldn't have been very profitable if it were that long, though.
Right.
I guess that's why they did it. But maybe, if Part 2 would have already been made and was coming out like a few months later, like if these movies were filmed back to back. Like Lord of the Rings was,
right?
That would be good. If we had this next year, even I would be more okay with it. The fact that we had to go into this movie and be like, it might not get resolution.
Yeah.
That just like it makes the choices feel even more bizarre. It's like if you knew you only had one shot at this, why was this the way that we approached it? And also, I do have a lot of questions about like what's the consistency of quality going to be like if you take time away from these characters, like and then come back to it. Is it going to be as good this next time around, or is it going to be as consistent? And I don't know. I hope so. Right. I really do have faith in Denis, and I think that this is a promising blueprint of a very exciting sci-fi franchise, and I want to see how it all ends. I wish we had more. Even if you look at like the movie that popularized these Part 1 and Part 2s, like Deathly Hallows Part 1, you get 3 acts in that movie.
Exactly.
You get like at least something to have. And I mean, I don't watch Deathly Hallows Part 1 on its own anymore because Part 2's out, but it was fine.
Yeah.
It was fine back then.
For sure. Interesting question for you, kind of to top this all off. Oscar buzz. I have this really strange, weird feeling that Dune is definitely going to be nominated for Best Picture. I think it might even win it.
Really?
And I have some evidence to back that up. The Oscars like very specific movies, And Dune happens to fall into one of the categories that they like, and that is epics. They like epics.
But they don't love science fiction.
They don't love science fiction, but this is Denis Villeneuve, and it's not, totally out there. It's very, it's got the artsy vibe to it. I just keep thinking what Dune reminds me of is Lawrence of Arabia. And I'm pretty damn sure Lawrence of Arabia won Best Picture.
It did. I think it did.
Yeah. And we have the Godfather movies that won Best Picture, and I just really feel that Dune is a strong contender for Best Picture this year.
I do think that he's never been nominated for Best Picture before, though. And he's always existed right under that level of like person who will possibly get nominated for like Best. I think I just looked it up to confirm. He's only been himself nominated for an Oscar one time, and it was for Arrival as Best Director. And I know Blade Runner 2049 pulled the biggest dub of all time and won Best Cinematography, deservedly so.
Right.
I do think that maybe this movie will get like production Oscar buzz. I'm hesitant to say that it'll get any kind of like acting or best direction or even best picture nomination because of its sci-fi nature.
Yeah, true. I don't know. I think it would be cool if it did. Is it the one I want to win? Probably not. I need to watch all the... Well, I mean, they haven't really announced them yet, but when they do, I need to watch all of them. But right now, I think Dune might, be up for Best Picture. What it definitely won't be up for, what it might be up for that I don't agree with is Best Acting, because personally, I didn't really like Timothy.
Really?
Chalamet. No, I thought he was fine. He did fine, but it just, I mean, for our main character, I just wasn't vibing with him at all. I was like, there's nothing to connect to here for me, and his performance was very wooden.
I felt like this is just like the beginning of his arc, and like it's cool to see his training and all the stuff that he's going through and the loss. I think that maybe this character would play better knowing that he's going to become something else, and I do think that they try and promise you like, there's an arc here, because they show there's one sequence in the movie that I do think is just straight up goofy, and it's when it's like some CGI armor man like killing a bunch of people in the battle, and then like the
mask
fills up, and it's like his face like digitally imposed on it, and it looks so bad. I think that shot is actually really bad, and that unfortunately is like a lot of people are posting GIFs with that one part. I'm like, please show anything else. Like, the movie looks great. You're just intentionally spreading slander if that's what you're showing. It's kind of like that shot of the Eternals that's trending on Twitter where like Angelina Jolie's cutting like the creature's legs, and then it's very clearly CG, and then it cuts to real Angelina Jolie kind of trying to finish that CG pose, but it doesn't look the same at all. It's like, wait, sorry, this is an audio format. I'm an idiot.
I was enjoying watching.
Look up. No, I don't know what you can look up. Angelina Jolie bad CGI Eternals.
You'll find it.
I don't know. I can see why you have your issues with Dune. I guess my score and my hopes are all pretty optimistic, and that part 2 is going to be good.
I think part 2 will be good. I'm excited to see part 2.
Indeed.
There's going to be a lot more sequences like there were in this one with the Harkonnen massacre. Like, is Josh Brolin dead? I don't think he's dead.
No, he's not dead. This is one Dune thing that I'm okay bringing up. His character, played by Patrick Stewart in the original, is around the whole movie, I think he even shows up in the second novel or something. So I was thinking Josh Brolin was dead for a second, and then I was like, wait, no, we didn't see him die. And also, I think he comes back maybe from my hazy memory, and he'll be in the sequel. So not everyone's dead. Just most of them.
Just most of them.
But I really did love everyone while they were around. I think that everyone did a great part with their role. Oscar Isaac was great. Jason Momoa was especially great. I loved him and his weird like evolution of losing all his facial hair that happened throughout the movie. Like, at first he had a beard, then it was whiskers, and then he was like clean shaven. It's like, what?
What? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm just y'all go watch Dune. It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
I'm excited for the award season. I'm excited for part 2.
Before we close, I just really quick want to have a conversation. Eternals is rotten.
Rotten.
Right now?
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. Yeah,
That's kind of crazy.
that is crazy. First Marvel film to be rotten.
Because we were talking, like, you know, even Ant-Man and the Wasp has like an 88% or some ridiculous
for
shit.
some fucking weird reason.
Because like critics are usually pretty forgiving of Marvel, so I'm wondering, like, we have like literally a director who won an Oscar last year
Best
at
Picture.
the helm, and Best Picture,
Director, yeah.
and this is their next project, and it's the worst Marvel movie. Like,
That's not good for her.
no, I
say.
wonder what this fucking script looks like.
Yeah.
Like, you know, well, I read the story, like I said.
Yeah.
So I guess it's maybe as subpar as it seems. I don't know. These
Yeah.
Marvel movies usually find a way to surprise me if I think they're going to be dog shit. Like, they always end up surprisingly mediocre, you know?
Yeah.
So
for sure.
if we have our first truly dog shit Marvel movie, you know, like Thor the Dark World shit, like,
that's gonna be crazy.
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, I'm still excited to see it because it's the first Marvel project that's rotten. And somebody was like, when somebody posted it, they're like, "This is history. The first rotten Marvel movie. My sources say No Way Home is next." And I'm like, "What the fuck? What do you mean?" Like, I hate people that praise when a movie is rotten. Like, they're just waiting for its downfall. I'm like, bro, yes, it's historic, quote unquote, in a sense, but it's the first. But like, do you really have to be that happy about it? I mean, I'm not happy that it's rotten because I love Chloe Zhao, and I think this is really cool that she's directing one of the biggest fucking blockbusters for one of the biggest companies, and it sucks. I don't think that's something to be happy about, you know?
No, yeah, that fucking sucks.
Yeah.
If it sucks, you know, and it shouldn't. And I'm worried that, you know, people will take away the wrong lessons from this. It's like, oh, we need more mass-produced, like, shit. We need to never stray from the Marvel formula because clearly it didn't work out. Like, I think what would be really unfortunate if it's a box office bomb as well, because then I think that Marvel won't take risks anymore. This feels like a risk.
It does. It really does. Yeah.
I don't know, and it doesn't seem to be going too well.
No.
But
even though the trailers excited me, I liked the trailers. I saw a
I
trailer.
like the scale in the trailer. I like the visuals, but I don't really care for the story that I've been seeing in the trailer.
Well, I don't even know what the story is, so that's why I'm just like, I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I'll see it. We'll see it. We'll talk about it. We'll probably
sure.
have it. Tune in sometime November.
Next week.
Next week? Are you kidding?
It comes out November 5th.
Oh shit. Okay, I'll try and see it this week. You know, I might not catch it. No, I'll catch it. I'll catch it. If you catch it,
I'll catch it.
You catching it?
Let's just go together.
Okay.
Let's go see
we'll
it.
hold each other accountable.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go. There we go. You have your promise.
Yeah.
Now can we keep it? That's another thing.
We'll try to get around to Soho and French Dispatch for next week too.
Maybe.
I know I'm gonna try that.
I'm gonna try. Oh god, a lot of movies to see in the theater.
Yeah.
So
hey, it's November. It's that awards season fucking grind, bro.
Yeah.
I'm ready for it.
Ken and I are gonna. We had our Halloween jar this month right there, and we're gonna do a never seen November for this month.
Yeah.
So I mean, technically, going to see a film in theaters that had not been released before
Yeah.
is never seen November. 'Cause
Exactly.
there's no way we could have seen it.
Work around it.
Man, now to think about this banger ending, you gotta edit.
I know.
So I'm thinking this is where the werewolves come in.
Okay. Whoa! There they are!
Oh my god, is that a really convincing sounding
werewolf?
Christoph Waltz impersonator?
My name is Christoph Waltz, and people know me from the film Django.
Is
where
that-
I
Oh
my
played
God,
the
it
Doctor,
is!
Oh my gosh, she's
Dr.
really
Fritz.
good at that.
Actually,
Yeah.
my name
Where
is
did you
Dr.
find
King
this?
I
Schultz,
literally
and
probably,
I have a horse by the name of
yeah.
Fritz.
Can you
and,
afford the rights to this
first
song?
lines
That's
are
playing right now? It sounds
Probably not.
really epic.
It does sound really epic.
Oh my gosh. Whoa. Laser sound effects. Oh,
Duck your head. Oh wait, oh my god, is the roof coming off the house? Is that a UFO?
oh that sounds really convincing. Oh, the tractor beams
Yeah, we're gonna fly
And
into the fucking sky.
I think it's great. I hope it goes on another 5 minutes.
I'm gonna go take a piss.